I got the new rear wheel put on the Kawasaki. More to do, but obviously I need to buy a kickstand. That apparently is not the OEM kickstand because that is way too much lean angle. I'm done for the Kawasaki for today. I did not show what I did, but this is what I did. Clutch lever is hooked up and functional. It uses a 2-piece clamp instead of the OEM one. I've changed the handlebar. So I put a Fatbar on, but I had to use special risers to do it because they go from 7/8 inch to 1 1/8 inch bar. It adds some height. However, the good news is at full lock, the handlebar doesn't hit the tank. So that is important. I'd like a lower handlebar, but the tank really defines how low you can go. So I have clutch, I have the brake remounted, everything's hooked up. I think on the front wheel, I had to route the throttle cable differently out of the top down in front of the handlebar because the extra height here, things didn't reach. So my brake line, same thing here, it's a straight shot. Instead of going in front of the triple clamp and back around, it now just goes straight down behind. So what I need to do is still zip tie it onto the fork to clean it up, keep everything in place. But the throttle works, everything is functional. The only thing that's remaining to make it rideable is a chain. Just needs a chain. So the rear wheel has been replaced with a non-bent wheel. And it needs a chain. Oh, the other thing is the brake line on the back is too long. So it needs to be made about 6 inches shorter. So that remains on the to-do list. It's a couple weeks later and I have some more parts here. I put a hand grip on the left side of the handlebar, got the handlebar all mounted, it runs. The other thing I did this morning was I put a new gas cap on. This one does not require the key to open. Screw on, screw off. It says ZXR, it's for a Kawasaki. I found it in my closet. I just happened to have bought one at one point that didn't fit anything else, so recycling. I put a new drive chain on, stock length, nothing special, but I have my Swingarm spools added, so this has been adjusted, axle tightened, all good there. Getting closer. On this side, I did notice, I just rode the bike. This shock has way too much preload on it, but I can't get in there to move the collars. Not a very good design with the passenger pegs there. I can't get to the adjuster very easily. Anyway, the last piece on my list is the brake. I took the line off. I was going to cut it and make it shorter. Disconnected the line. I'm gonna have to buy one. I need a 20-inch. Down here, I took the kickstand off. This is the one that's too short. And I just picked up my mail. Lord, I hope this is gonna work. Yeah, this one looks a little bit longer. Hopefully that will do the jobs. I've put the original kickstand, well, a used one I purchased on. It is a fair bit longer, so hopefully I could take the bike off the rear stand and have it stand up. There we go. Now it stands up without wanting to fall over. Back in the garage, it seems to be in alignment with all the other motorcycles, so no more weirdness with it wanting to fall over. I have just finished installing the rear brake line on the Z125 braided line. I actually had one because I have tons of motorcycle parts in all my junk piles. I actually found one that worked okay. It's not ideal, but it works okay. I now have brake pressure reservoirs topped up. I need to put the bolt back in it, but I have a functional rear brake, which is what you need when you run off track. That's its only purpose. Anyway, I will put the cover back on the side of the bike, button it back up, put the seat back on. Next thing I need to do is fix the routing on the brake line. I moved the fitting on the banjo in front of the little protuberance here, switched it around so it's coming out the front. It was pointed backwards, so that's a little more efficient routing. I'm then going to run that along the fork, zip tie it on. Right here at the bottom, it is in the little clamp. Again, I'm going to change the routing here, and I'm going to let it follow the fork because the length of the line is a little bit off for the raised up handlebars. So here are the little rubber clamps that fit in here. Took a razor blade, cut a flat side on them so that it will fit up against the fork a little better. And then I'm going to zip tie them on. Here's my final routing along the fork, starting at the top. Curly cues down because the length isn't quite right. I got to take the slack out somewhere. Rubber block there, zip tied on, running down the fork, another zip tie holding it. It goes around the lower clamp, again zip tied onto the fork. Down to the bottom, I have another rubber mount where it separates from the fork. And down to the brake caliper, so I should have a straight shot all the way at the top for air to get back up to the master cylinder. Should aid with bleeding a little bit. I need to clean up the other hose clamps. These are reusable, so I need to clean up the overall length at the top. That takes care of the front brake. I am still waiting for the front cowl for racing, so I can put a racing number on there so we can race it. That's in shipping. Anyway, it is rideable, runnable. The ride height is so much better now. Very happy about that. Anyway, that's what I got so far for today. Fork's done. Everything's secured. Hopping on the bike. Key on. No more electrical problems.